Okay, hello everyone. So this is the fourth episode of Agent Framework Development from Scratch in Go. So in this episode, we'll continue from last time where we were integrating with our agent with ChatGPT and Gemini. So in the last video, we ran into a couple of issues. So I've been doing some. Uh, I've been doing some debugging offline and uh, preparing for this stream. So in this stream, we can get it started. Let me set up my. Okay, let me put everything here. OBS here. Okay. Okay, let's get started. Okay. So this is where we are regarding our project. So uh, we did this last couple of streams. Uh, Currently, actually, we are in integrating with uh, Chat GPT integration and Gemini integration. So we've done this in, oh, it's already written here, right? Okay, my bad. So we've already done this actually. We are currently in process of doing this, right? Okay. So where we were at last stream is, if you remember, if I do go run but yeah. So if I run our project, which is like a agent with this goal, explain this project in the current directory and the provider is open. Right? In this case, we run into an issue where uh, uh, in our agent loop, uh, first time we do inference, it tells us, okay, list files, right? So it's asking us to list files. The second time we do inference in our agent loop, we are not sending the request correctly, right? And I did some digging offline. Turns out the problem is how we reconstruct our uh, uh, messages when we are sending during the second inference, right? So I was the digging I did is something around this, right? I went into the OpenAI Golang documentation and I drew some like what are the core types and interfaces it has, core struct has, and how they interact with each other. So with the OpenAI key, we can initialize a client, and this is the main service chat completion that we have, and it has a function called new. Right, what it takes is new params, right, and what it gives is a chat completion. So so if you see the naming nomenclature is something like chat completion is, let's say, common denominator in all here. So new new params is like call params here is what they mean by input, right? And when they give output, they don't have like a qualifier saying that this is an output. So this is how they design. The naming is a bit wonky, which is why we fumbled in our last stream. But with this, it should be a bit clear, right? So what does new param get, right? When we are calling ChatGPT's API, what does it require, right? So these are the main things. So these are the some section that it requires config, right? Main thing it requires is which model we are calling, how many tokens it can return. There are some other things that I won't go into. Uh, if we want a response format, we can give it instructions of what kind of response format. It can be text, either it can be JSON schema, right? Uh, or it can be JSON object. I don't know the difference between two, but for now, this is not an important thing. Then it is a tool completion choice, right? So basically, given these tools, is there any specific choice on top of it that we want to configure, right? We are not using this as well, right? These are the two main things we use currently, which is the tools, which tools we want to give, right? So if you see this is kind of like the tool definition, right? And uh, in everything input, there will be a term param in it, right? So that is how we know that this is part of input. So this is tool completion, uh, chat completion tool union param. Now, what is a union? Whenever there is multiple types involved, uh, they create a union on top of it, right? So basically, in a list of this, it can be either this object or this object, right? So that is in union, right? Yeah. So, which is why a union is required. Here, if you see, there can be two types of tools. So one is of function, one is custom, right? So again, the name nomenclature is very weird, uh, but we have to live with it. So um, from ChatGPT side, whoever designed this API, uh, the naming of it is quite weird. So uh, so they call this tools, but then it's a function as well, right? So tool and function here can be synonymous, right? So uh, and there is a custom tool, right? I won't go into custom tools that because we are not using it, right? For a tool, what is required is name, description, and parameters, right? Not parameters, which can be map of any string, right? So when we are giving, this is kind of like a JSON schema of what this function inputs or parameters is, and we need a name and description for the LLM to know what this does, how to call this thing. So we are using this, and the other thing is how to construct messages, right? So this is where the trick is actually. Uh, so uh, so they have so ChatGPT has two weird kind of like actors, which Anthropic does not have, uh, which is developers or system, right? Uh, so and developers is mostly I think introduced in the reasoning models, but they actually are like replaceable, if I'm not wrong, right? I don't know which one is given precedence if both are passed, right? Actually, we can see some documentation here, right? So this is of developer, right? What does it say? Developer provided instruction, right? Okay, it replaces system with one or newer models. It replaces system, right? So there's nothing called system. There is developer, right? Which is I don't understand why they did this actually. So let me mark this green saying that this is the one supersede system, right? Then there is user, right? User is what is so when we are giving input to the chat GPT, we have to tell who the input is from, right? And the first information we have to give it is what is the role of this one, because it's a chat based system. We have to when we give it entire conversation, we have to tell them who said what, so that then it can do proper inference. So of user, again, this is union. If you see, we can give it strings or array. I don't know how they are different, because to the LLM it's all strings, right? So even these arrays will be presented as strings. Uh, uh, the I mean string of text, right? Or string of image URL file. I think so. This can be they should be using this for some post processing if this is of the type uh, audio. So they uh, download the content and then send it to ChatGPT and then do the inference. But I don't understand why there is again of text, right? Because uh, an array of text is also passed as a string to the LLM. There might be some reason for this, but uh, I don't think one. So yeah, then assistant, right? So uh, what we have here is this is the ChatGPT response. It is what the LLM will infer and give, right? So it is labeled as assistant, right? Now it will give us two things. It will give us content which I have not written here, which is my bad, right? So which is the text content, right? It can give us string and it will give us tool calls, right? What tool calls to me. Uh, and it can be off function or custom you can ignore, and this is what it says. Okay, well, from based on the tool definition, this is what uh, it will give us, that okay, make this tool call, right? And when we make the tool call, what we have to give it back is this, right? We have to give it tool call ID and we have to give the string as a result. We can give this as well, but for now we'll ignore this, right? So you see already there are a few types of tools, right? One is the definition of tools. One is uh, one is this when ChatGPT tells us what tool to call. One is when we are returning it back to ChatGPT what the tool is, right? Um, yeah. So this is only input part, right? So in the meaning that this of assistance we have to give it back when ChatGPT first makes an inference of something. In the next conversation turn, we have to give it back, right? So this is what this is, and then it will give us chat completion. There are multiple choices, right? One of it, and it has a message in it. So this is the main struct that has. Main thing it has is a content, which is again text strings, and then it has a tool call, right? Now again, it's a union because there are two types of tool calls. And if you see, I think there's something missing here, but oh, okay. It will have name and argument. I don't know why they made the structure like this. So at the end of the day, there are only few variables. All this inflation of types is based on whether it's an input or an output or a response, right? So this is why it's a bit confusing. I think Anthropic SDK is quite well designed compared to ChatGPT, which is true for everything, mm, from models to everything, I feel. But anyway, we'll leave that judgment for later. For now, let's continue and try to finish our implementation of agent framework. Right. So this is what we were stuck at. And the main reason is, right, when we do the inference, this is our definition of message, right? A message can have a type which is one of either of these. It can have one of these two rules. As you see, ChatGPT has multiple rules, right? But we'll see how we can abstract over it, right? Whether we want to keep it as, for now these two role works, right? So it can be one of these three things in a message, right? And we run inference on message and tool definitions, right? And it will return back messages, right? So this is the kind of interface we have created for ourselves, and we abstract out on ChatGPT and Anthropic related stuff. Right. Wow, we already 15 minutes in. Okay, cool. So, right. So this is where we are transform to open AI messages, right? So we get messages, we transform. So we have to transform it back to open AI messages, right? So this is the message param union, right? This is where we get it from, right? This is what we have to pass it to. Okay, let's get here param union, right? So this is it. This is what we have to construct, right? Okay, so with this it's a bit better actually to argue about it. Okay, things open. Okay, so if it is role, if it is text, we just send it back. If it is tools, now this is where the problem is. If it is tool, this should be of assistant, because tool is written by assistant, right? Tool is written by assistant, and this is open AI. This names can get longer, so I'll just copy paste. So it's chat completion assistant message param, and what we have to send it is, we will not send any content actually, we will just send tool calls. And the other thing we fumbled at last time was this role object, right? What to assign this, but this is better left unassigned because the zero value itself is assistant, right? Because of this struct, so we don't need to do anything there, right? So this is tool calls is array of, again this is some union because there are two types of tools, right? For now we will only concern ourselves with function. Oh, it's an array, right? So of function, right? Right. So we were iterating on our messages, right? So message dot tool use dot id arguments and name. Type we can ignore. Type it again. It's like a okay, now what does it require for arguments? It requires a string, right? Which is what we have here. To use input, okay, convert it to string, and we have message to use name. Okay, so this is how we construct back the conversation history, right, and send it back to ChatGPT. This is required because it has to work on the entire history to make next inference on the conversation, right? So now we test, right? So for this, so this is the first tool call. Okay, we see something different here. So now the second iteration of the agent loop is working, right? Where we are sending it back this input. Okay, let's see the code actually, and let's add some more text, right? Because so one thing is, let's add, this is assistant saying something, right? And what this is assistant saying tool use, right? So assistant saying something here, assistant is saying, okay, make a tool use, right? Then we will, when actually there is a tool result, right? We are appending it here. Okay, somewhere we have to give back the tool result, right? So tr, what is t, where is tr? Okay, so what is happening here is the second time when we make the inference, it is working fine, right? With the third time, when we return this result, it is saying that uh, there is no result found for this tool call ID, right? But actually we are adding everything here, right? So we have to debug as to what is happening here. So let's actually go to OpenAI, put a debug point where we do the inference here in the error, right? So let's do it, right? So okay, assistant says saying do it to use. Okay. Hey, why did it do something else this time around? I can't access. I think the oh, the tool use is wrong. Why is this? This should be dot, right? Is this chat GPT making mistake? Oh, now this is correct. Wow, first time I came across this. Okay, now it's on camera. We can go back. Okay, so the second time around, the first tool call was correct, and what happened is this, right? We are making a OpenAI messages we have to see, right? So, okay, the first message was of user. The content is okay that you are an autonomous robot. Okay, this is the instruction we sent, and again we are sending that explain this project. You are an autonomous agent working in the repository. Explain this project, right? The third thing we are sending is oh, this is the assistance response, right? What it gives us is just a tool call. Right? Content it's empty. Okay, it's just giving us a tool call, only one of function. This is the tool call ID, right? It's saying okay GW. What it's saying is directory list files in this directory, right? So what we do is we give it off tool, which is the type of response we have to send, and we give back the correct tool ID GW, right? And then we give it okay, these are the list of files in this directory, right? So if you see this is fine, this is fine. Because for this tool call we are giving result back, right? 3. The clear is correct. Now again there are a bunch of tool calls, right? So one is this guy, one is this guy, which is okay, a read file path this. Okay, now if you see it's A4, right? Okay, we have read file A4. Then again there is a assistant message tool call, which is TW, again some other read file. So there's a bunch of like we saw in the there are a bunch of tool calls happening. So there are 4 in total, right? Read file this, oh 5, 1 2 3 4 5, right? So these messages, the 5 of these messages should be tool call ZT, right? Again assistant function call, oh not function call, YA. Now this is where we should start returning. No, this is final tool call. Okay, of function E9, right? So we got 5 tool calls, right? We should be start returning of tool. So these are all correct. A4 is correct, and the last one should be of tool E9. So we are sending the correct response, but what I feel is the order which we are giving is not what is expected, right? We have to give for each tool ID immediately. We have to give the result, right? So what we have to do here is something different. Let me see, right? I think we have to change the common code a little bit, because so what we do is we collect all the tool results here, right? And then we add everything at the end, which is wrong, right? We have to do tool execute, right? And then we have to add back the result immediately, not at the end, right? Okay, so actually let's move all the logic inside here, right? So we will not append any of the messages. Here we'll do is, let's do a switch block on. This is better looking code. So this is LLM done. So we do this only. So I remove this from here before adding all the response to the history. What we have to do is we have to interlace the tool with results, right? So let's add it one by one, right? So we have to add block, right? Okay. Case LLM message tool use. This is when we do this thing, right? If it is tool use, right, we have to add it back, and whatever the tool result is, we have to add it here, right? Is it tool result? Oh wait. So we first add the tool use block, right? Right. We have to add the tool use block and execute the tool. Okay, what does it require here? Is already okay. Tool result. Okay, this is what I have to add actually. So var, let me remove this. Actually, we don't need an array now here, right? So let's see. Tool result is LLM result. This is just this guy, right? And then we append it back, right? So we have to change this logic a little bit, right? So here, let's have a flag has tool use set to false. If there is a tool use, we set it to true, right? And here we check if we don't have any tool use, then break, right? This is how we end our agent loop, right? This forever loop, right? Now it should work. Actually, just okay, this message was a bit problem, right? Let's add some more text saying talking about the result, right? So we have to say, so this is a user message, which is a tool result, and what we can show here is of length. Let's not print everything, right? Because it will be too verbose. We have to do tool result dot content. We have to do a length. Okay, now this is printf, because it's a integer, right? We have to properly give it. Where is forgot the keyboard for a while. Okay, right. So we are saying the tool result also. This is also gone. Okay, let's test in the okay, something wrong here. Length of content, but we are sending it correctly back. Is anything happening after that? Okay, this works. So this is the correct fix. So it says attend assistant at the end of the tool call sessions. What it says is I can see structure, but I can't read files. Okay, now because read file isn't available in this environment, only directory listing works. Okay, so okay, we have already hit a bug, but our core logic is working. Let's fix a little bit here. So this is a integer, that is why this error is coming here, right? And actually what we can also print is tool ID, which will be convenient for us. Tool result ID is, and length is this, right? So ID is tool result content ID, right? Okay, so this is the message. Let's print in tool use also. ID is this is a bit ugly actually. Okay, let's fix this. Let's take time to fix this, right? Println empty. Okay, this already a bit better ID, right? Then we need these two things, right? We need name and input JSON. Tool use name and input. Okay, that's much better, right? Now let's see the same thing. Right, now this is much better. So assistant is saying, okay, I want to make tool calls. The first tool calls is this, is set. Then it gets a tool result of length 84, right? Then we make a bunch of tool calls. Then also basically it's asking parallelly in a single inference is asking, okay, make 4 more tool calls, right? This is its way of optimizing. And then what we give it, it's a tool result again, right? Then it's reading some more files. Then we give some more result, right? And then at the end of the day, at the end of the agent loop, what is saying is, okay, this is what he's saying is that this is a trajectory, but the tool reading is still off, right? So this all these analysis is just bogus, right? So let's see what is wrong with the read tool, right? So if I remember correctly, we had defined the read correctly, the read file. So this is the list file tool, and this is the read file tool. So read file is there. Okay, we haven't hooked it up to this tool map, which is used when we are doing the execute, right? Okay, this is why it was not there. Now if you do the same thing, it should work. Oh, this is super weird. This has happened the second time. Okay, let's actually change the list file. Oh, is it because it says in the current directory? So list file in the given directory, right? So if it wants in current directory, it has to give the dot as the current directory, right? This is prompt tuning in action. So this time it works, right? So we got a bunch of result, a bunch of work being done by this guy. Let's see the final analysis. Okay. Okay. What it's saying is this. Now it can read everything. So this repository is a small, okay, good judgment, small agent framework that runs a loop, right? Call a model, da da da. It's essentially a minimal React style agent. What? React, okay. LLM proposes tool. Oh, that is how it's saying React, okay. Not the client framework React. So it has bunch of files, right? Goal provider for the in loop, it calls run inference, right? All the tools, prints assistant messages, appends assistant messages to conversation history. If the assistant request tool, executes them, wrap them in tool result, appends. If the system produces no tool call, the loop breaks and ends. So the agent continues iterating. This is quite a good summary of it, right? So our high level interfaces are here, right? And how to configure is here. Great. Okay. Let's just test it again with the Anthropic to see if we have not broken it yet, because we changed some common logic as well. So, okay, this is looks like it's working fine. Wow, it's consuming too many tokens. Hmm. Hmm. It's giving it a thorough examination. I think it's reading all the file. Let's see what it came up with. Okay, the summary is quite succinct compared to ChatGPT, which I like. Right. Okay, let's see what it says. It's a summary, right? This is an agent co-based AI system that can interact with a language model. The framework allows you to give goals It then autonomously explores and reacts. Okay. Main agent loop, we read this there as well. Interactions, Anthropic cloud. Plan per roadmap. Okay. Current tools, two tools. Protection for security. Conversation flow in progress. This is a foundation for building more complex autonomy that can perform various tasks, software across. Okay, there is some hope for the future. Okay, let's actually we should have checked out episode 004 from here already. We'll not merge 003 because it was not functional. We'll make a commit on 004 saying open AI integration working. Integration done. Did I not add everything? Okay. Boom. Okay, that took 41 minutes, but we are there. Quickly we'll implement Google so that in the next stream we can do something more interesting than just writing client wrappers, right? Let me just close this, create two screen and refer to the Anthropic client. So for Google, I've pulled out wrong. Okay, and I might need to blur that. Right. What is the timestamp here? 42. Okay. Google Gemini SDK. So Go SDK. Go. Okay, this is the one. Let's see. So there are two ones actually. One of it is deprecated. This is the latest ones. This is fine. Right. So let's do this. Let's go get this guy. So we do go get. As you can see, I've already used it somewhere else. All right, now we need a client which is Gen AI client, right? And this guy comes from here. Okay, already here. Right. Now we have to initial create a constructor function. Okay, we don't take anything input, right? We get a Google API key from our environment, right? Then Gen AI should have a new client. Context background. What else does it require? It requires a client config. Okay. Gen AI client config. So two things we have to pass. It is the API key and which backend we are using. So it's Gen AI Gemini backend because we are giving it a key. So that, as you can see in the example here, there are two broad ways of using Gemini. One is via API key, another is via directly via Google Cloud. So if you have a Google Cloud account, then you can do this and call it via Vertex. Otherwise, we just use API keys. So this is, they want to distinguish their two offerings for people who don't have a Google Cloud account. It's cloud like AWS, like cloud provider, and they just need API integration. So we'll go with this for now, right? Here we get client. I think we also get error. Okay. What to do with error? Huh? I think we have to return it back. Terminal and error. Otherwise we return. Oh, okay, we are already doing this, right? Okay, so our new client is done. So as you can see, this guy does not return an error. So this is a bit weird, but any error that is, we have to pass it upstream for the upstream to decide what to do, right? So in this case, we can either panic, I mean, exit the agent, or we can decide later on to yeah, we can decide later on to, what do you say, like have a fallback model, right? I was just checking the stream metrics. Yeah, got distracted there for a minute. Okay, now let's actually integrate here so that we get the stub. And let's just make this switch so that it looks pretty, right? Case is Google, okay, LLM, and now in this case we also get error, right? Just new Google client, right? Say var error. If error, now here we can decide. Okay, here we are also giving it back, right? Okay, I know what this error is, but let's just finish our anthropic. Go to the anthropic case open AI. That is equal to new open AI, and then default. Okay, this is correct. We say unknown provider, right? We just exit on it. Just remove this. Okay, now our this thing is ready, and this error is saying because we have not implemented the run interface. So we'll just run interface, this interface, right? So let's just do it here, right? So if you refer to the run interface, we have to do a couple of things, right? First, we have to convert it to Google Messages, transform to Google Messages, send this, just the messages, then Google Tools, so Google definition of the messages and tool, to Google tools, right? Then we have to make an inference, right? So here the inference is in the client. We do models and we do generate content, right? And this is, I'm referring to this from this documentation, right? Here, right? Once we have to create the input as parts, and then we have to send it to this generate content, and it takes content and config, right? Let's get to it, right? So let's do config as GenAI config, chunking config. Okay, what type of config it takes? Okay, let's complete what we have. So for now, we will not be using context, propagating context. We'll create a background context on each call. Later, we'll see where we should pass down context. Then we have to give it the Google messages and config, right? This is generate content config. Okay. Generate content config. Okay, this has a lot of field. For now, what we're interested in is just tools, right? Right. So this will give us Google result response, let's say, an error. On error, we just bail quickly, say this is later we'll handle a bunch of different types of errors. Then here we have to Okay, let's complete this and then we come back to, so our actual response will be messages, right? Let's just return response nil error, right? Here we will do conversion of this and populate it here. Right? What is wrong? Oh, it never gave the model name, right? Let's hardcode it for now. Gemini. I don't want to use the 3 preview. Actually, let's use the 3 preview. Why not, right? 3.0 Pro, right? Let's see if it works. I think it's out of preview. It's released already, so we can use this. Okay, now we have 3 things to complete. One is this. Actually, I'm thinking that it's better to have a transformer here also. Transform from Google. So this is to and from, right? And we give it response dot candidate 0 dot content, right? Okay, now we have 3 functions to define. Create function. This what it returns is, okay, what does this require, right? Is what it returns. So it's an array of content. Sorry. So what it requires is an array of pointer to content, right? So this will return exactly that. Gemini content, right? Okay, this is definition looks good. What about this? Create function. So it should return, let's take a guess, Gemini tool. Okay, tool definition, it is tool. Okay, this seems to be working correctly. The type definition is working, right? Okay, it should take and return an array of our messages, right? Okay, so we have these 3 things to do and will be good for this session. So here, if you see, we have hard-coded few settings. Here we are not sending them. Later we'll see how we are going to deal with this kind of configurations, right? Okay, I don't think I need this now. Right, so messages. Okay, let's create empty. Then let's iterate on. So what I know from this, it has content has parts, right? So I went through this library a bit once, right? So all the content has parts. Right. Now I remember we are not using our role object at all. So we might have to evaluate whether we need to remember this at all, but it's fine for now. So when we go to parts, right? So what we're interested here is a function called text or function response. Okay, this is all the thing that we have to look for, right? So if part.text is not equal to empty, that means in messages we attach a message of type message type text. Okay, role let's forget. And this is part dot text. Okay, simple. Let's do a switch. Oh no, we cannot do a switch, right? We have to see if all of it is, because a single response can have multiple. So a single response can have text plus this, so it cannot be else if. We have to handle all of them, right? So here the type is toolcop, right? Message type will use, and then we need a tool use object. Here we need function call dot id, part dot function dot name, and part dot. Okay, what type it is? Args. Our args are raw JSON, and this args are map. Okay, so we have to parse it, right? We have to marshal, not parse, marshal, right? Function called dot args. We marshal it into tool args. Let's just ignore the error for now, because we'll say we'll validate this JSON, right, when it is returned from LLM, right? So when it's already in our messages, we already know that this is a valid one. For now, I will do here. I will just say, right, just to be a good. All right. So these are the two messages. Having, okay, let's just go with this. So this is output from Google, right? We go through contents. Let's just do a check on if Google.response candidates actually it should have candidates, but let's just be safe. Right. So it will give us either text or function call, right? There's nothing else that it should be telling us. The LLM, right? So this function should be done. Now let's transform. Let's do tool at the end actually. Let's transform our messages, our interface into Google Messages, right? So actually it should just be, hey, we can just give single content and the parts, right? Wait. Okay, let's just have, actually you can just put everything here and give a single content as the whole thing. It's all the same. If we give a single content with all our conversation histories parts, it's not same because the roles are different, right? Okay, it's not same. Okay, let's give one by one then, right? So okay, Google Messages is this. For our messages, Google, let's have a switch on our message type, content, right? So the main thing we have to give back is roles. GenAI. Text is always user. Text can be assistant. I think we are making a mess here. Okay, then let's just, when we are creating, what happened now? We didn't return anything here. Return messages. Okay, let's just remember the role here, right? This is critical. Part dot role is content dot role. Okay, now our role is just this, right? User or assistant. This role is the string user or model. Okay, they call it model, right? So transform from Google role, right? Switch role case user is return role user case model return role assistant, right? So as you can see, a lot of different terminology here. By default, we'll just say user. Trans. Okay. Okay. Right now we have it here, so we can work it back here, right? So this is just message dot roll, right? Okay, we have to transform it back, which is kind of like a pain, right? Transform to Google role. Okay, we are a bit over time, but let's just power through. Switch role case for user, return user, assistant, return model. Okay, it's intelligent enough to do this. And return user. Again, transform. Right. Okay, this is correct. Case message type rule use Google Messages. But rule use is always role is always assistant, right? Rule is always assistant, and then parts is GNI parts single entry. Okay, what? Okay, undo. It should be function call, right? GNI function call name. What else is in function call? If there is ID, name, and args, right? And partial args. We will not use this. Name, ID, args. Okay, now we have to convert this message dot. We have to do JSON unmarshal of message dot tool use dot input, right, into args, which is of map string in. So we again error here, we can ignore for now. Say fix me. Right, here we give args. Right. Okay, last thing is case message rule result, right? Right. So this is Google Messages role tool result should always be user, right? So whole user 10 paths function response, right? Gemini. Okay, it has name, it has ID. Okay, good. What else it has? Does what else it has? We'll continue. We can ignore that. Oh, it requires path. Optional. Okay, this is a bit interesting. So what it requires is a JSON, right? And I mean, it's not a map of string any. Okay, we'll just use output key to specify function output and error key to, if output and error are not specified, the whole response is treated as output. Okay, so interesting. So what we have to give is response is map of string any, right? And our message dot tool use tool result dot is error. What's wrong with this? Okay, this is the wrong place to write all of this. Right, tool result dot is error. If is error, then we have to add error content as error, right? Message dot tool result dot content. Else we add it as output. It says output, right? We pass this map as response. Okay, this is quite neat compared to ChatGPT. Right. Okay. We return Google messages. Okay, this function should also be done. Also done. The last thing remaining is this. Right. Let's just power through this. Right. So we have to return tool definition. Google tools. Okay, so we iterate over our tools and in Google tool pen. Okay, what is, okay, this is huge. We don't need all of this. So we have to define our functions, right? Our tools, we have to convert into Google's function declaration. So the gemini function declaration. Okay, so this has too many things. I think what we're interested in is what's wrong with this? Oh, it's an array. Why is it an array actually? Why is it a single tool has multiple function declaration? Huh? Weird. So for the inference, it takes multiple tools. And a multiple tool can have okay. So tool and functions are different definition in Google, right? Tool is kind of like a tool set. Anyways, what we require is name. Out of all of this, we require name, description, and parameters JSON schema. So Gemini or Google has their own way of defining schema. We're not going to use this actually. We'll use this, which is a mutually exclusive property to parameters. So we either send this or this. And this is same as what we've been doing for other stuff, right? So name, description, This is our tool description, and the parameter JSON schema is generate Google schema of input instance. Okay, well, you do some reflection here like we've been doing, right? What it requires is, okay, what it does, what require any, okay, any to any. Yeah, to see if this works. Okay, this is the last piece remaining, right? Let's refer to Anthropics. Let's rename this, refactor, rename to Anthropic schema, right? For now, we will take this, copy, paste here, right? Actually, what we have to return here is this. I think so. Inst is a better word than instance here. Let me see what we do in ChatGPT. Okay, we take this. Interesting. Because it requires, oh no, because it requires a specific map of string any, right? Whereas the GPT takes any, so we have to recast it to map of string any and then get. Okay, this should work. If it doesn't, we can debug it. I think everything is done. I've already added the secret in .env off stream so that I don't share any secrets on stream. Let's just test. I think it should be good to go. Google, fingers crossed. Okay. Okay, model not found. Okay, let's just see actually what is the situation there. Google Gemini model 3 Pro. Is it still in preview? Okay, it is still in preview. Let's do preview. I don't really like to use preview, but since our thing is not yet production, we can just stick to preview. Ideally, we should not put any stuff on production using preview models. What? Quest has empty. $400. Why are we sending empty arguments? Right. Okay, let's look at this error for a while. As empty input, right? Actually, we can debug, put a debug point here. Edit this configuration. Okay, you guys can pretend that you didn't see the secret. Anyway, this is incomplete one, right? So actually I should remove this altogether. It should be get stuck here, right? Okay, these are the first two messages. Okay, what did we send this guy? Google responses is nil. How come? How is this new? Oh, this is all wrong. We made size 0. We cannot make it a size 0. We have to make it variable size. Did we do this for this all of it? Still? Okay, let's just go through this guy. So what we're doing is we're getting here and we're appending one by one, right? Why is this empty? Config is there, messages is, oh, the Google messages there, right? So what is empty? What is empty? Oh my god, what are all these parts? I think this is some problem here. Let's just debug this. Oh, I didn't add any part at all. Okay, I just added the text and just forgot about everything. Text. Okay, this might be the problem for this. Okay. Okay. Working. Okay, let's just leave all the. There is a fatal error. This is tool result. Okay, this is tool result. This autocomplete. You need to be a bit careful with it. This should also be tool result. Okay, this is correct. Let's just run it and not debug. Let's see. Ooh, we don't have name. Okay. This guy requires tool name. Why does it require tool name? It is required. Okay, so now our abstraction is a bit broken. We need to have tool name as part of here, right? It is not used anywhere but only in Gemini, right? So we have to save this when we are making the tool call. Let's say in LLM, when we make a tool result, okay, we have to save tool name. Tool name. Okay. Okay, from tool use, we pass it on to tool name, right? Okay, this should work. This is required for tool to work correctly. Thought signature may lead to degraded model performance. Thought signature. Why does it require that? But it is optional, right? an opaque signature for thought so that it can be reused in subsequent Okay, let's debug. Why is thought signature important? Okay, error is same, right? So our messages is like this. So first is part user. This is our first message saying all of this thing. There's no thought signature as such. What we have to check is the response. What was the thought signature? We might have to save it actually. We're giving the function response. Right, all of this is correct, but it is saying that function call, which is where is function call? Number 2. This guy is missing. Why? Did you even give it to me? Okay, let's debug each iteration and we get the responses right. Okay, so first time we do inference, we get this Google response. What it has one candidate, response ID, one candidate. Okay, does it have thought? Not here. Content part 1, right? It is a function call and a thought signature. Okay, what is this? We have to send it back. Why? Thought is false, right? So weird, man. So basically this is the two thought thinking models do this because of they don't want to give the thinking result, means they don't want to give the full text of the thinking reasoning, right? That's why they just give the thought signature is what I think is happening here. And they don't want to give out the whole thing because you can use that to train smaller models and copy all the effort that Google spent, right? So this is tricky. Is it because I'm using Gemini 3 Pro? Let's just actually play this, and they have given a link, right, explaining thought signatures. Let's open this. Thought signatures are encrypted representation of model internal thought process and use preserving reasoning context. And using you must pass back thought signature during function call, otherwise okay. I don't like this at all. Why can't they save it on their level? Okay, there's no way around it, right? So okay, part of function call, right? It's part of function call. So it should be in, I don't like to break my abstraction, man. It should be in tool use, thought, nature. It's kind of like an ID actually. Require Google. So when we convert the function call into tool use, what I have to do is also save a thought signature. Seems. Let me debug once again and see where it was, because from what I can tell, it's not part of this object, right? It's not part of this object. It is something along with this part. This makes me angry. Right, Google response, candidate 0, content part 1, this. So there is a function call, and then there is something called dot signature. So dot signature comes from part dot signature. That's it. Okay, it should be byte. I don't understand this part of design though. Okay, where do we pass this back, right? So when we make function call, do we send back thought message dot to use thought signature? Is this what it wants? Let's find out. So first time around it goes, second time around the no error. Okay, so it worked basically. So let me just play this and see the console. Right, okay, it's working. Oh, it is reading home user. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, oh, Gemini 3 is insane. I asked it to use all of this and it's reading. What is it reading? List files parameter input. Okay. Gemini 3 is insane. Oh, etc password. The fuck? What the fuck? Let me kill this. Why is this reading this guy? Oh, did it read or did it list? Oh, it only, oh, it read file. What is wrong with this model? Motherfucker. I might need to update my password. Okay, it is working in some sense, but we can come back and debug. I think this is a good place to end stream here. And I'll debug what is happening here. Why is Gemini 3 reading passwords? I might have to change my password quickly if this is somebody's trying to hack me or it's Google trying to hack me. I don't know why. Okay. Where is the stream? I think this should be the end of stream. Okay. Thanks everyone.